Apurva Prasad, Senior Analyst, Institutional Equities of HDFC Securities, now joins in to talk to us about what he's made of those earnings. Well, we've got about 30 seconds to go before Apurva joins in, but it's been a very strong quarter for TCS. Just to highlight some of the, some of the numbers for you. They posted a profit which grew more than expected as its North America business bounced back and recovery in its banking vertical actually continued into this quarter. Net profit rose 6.3% sequentially to 7,340 crores. Revenues were up 6.8% quarter on quarter. Dollar revenue was up 1.6%. Operating profit was up 5.3%. Operating margins contracted 40 basis points to come in at 25%. But the key takeaway is that the management this time around is sounding a lot more optimistic than it has done in the past. Apurva Prasad of HDFC Securities now joins in. Apurva, first up, what did you make of those earnings from TCS, and do you think this is an inflection point for TCS earnings going ahead?
Yes, absolutely. I think you can call it an inflection point. It's in many ways, it's a very strong 10, 11, 12 quarter type of performance. So we are seeing many of the metrics which are pretty much at 2-year, 3-year high. A lot of these metrics, and a lot of these metrics are pertaining, some of their core geographies, the core verticals, things that was slipping in the last 2 quarters. So we're seeing that coming back. So yeah, what's the estimates we had pegged in about 3% constant currency, was down 4.1% on that, and that too a very well-rounded sort of a broad-based performance. So that's something which is a very clear positive.
Apurva, I want to start with BFSI because that has been a struggle for the last 7 to 8 quarters. Finally, it's back up and running. BFSI in Europe is looking a lot more promising, probably lagging slightly behind in North America. But clearly, that seems to be the game changer, right, going ahead for TCS. Are you expecting the momentum to continue in terms of deal wins, deal sizes for BFSI in particular? And then we'll talk about the digital space, which also has gone through a big transformation.
Yeah, that's correct. So, BFSI in Europe was doing relatively fine for TCS. It was the North America, particularly the larger accounts, which were struggling initially, which is why the overall BFSI number was not going as strong. So I think that's come back pretty strong. And the other good part is BFSI growth has also been attributed to pretty much across geographies. So the fact that, growth trends are more secular, I think that is more inspiring for us.
Apurva, what's your view again in terms of the commentary of the management, where again management was talking about perhaps now they're going to move towards their desired margin range of 26 to 28%. Appears the currency depreciation perhaps is now giving tailwinds to margin expansion here. But how long can it last? Can it actually go towards that range? How much time perhaps it's going to take to go towards that range? And basically, are you factoring that?
Yes, so we do expect TCS to trend towards that range. It's been below that range, but the fact is you're looking at a scenario where, there's margin expanding as well as revenue accelerating towards double digits. So I think the fact that you have a company with such scale with digital, which is 25% of the revenue, growing at 45% YOY, scaling up on margins, getting offshore benefits with increasing size and deals. I think all of this put together is working well for the company. So yeah, there is certainly scope for margin expansion. Even if you look at the first quarter performance, despite 180 basis points impact of wages, the margin decline was just about 40 basis points. Obviously, 70 basis points benefit did come in from INR deals, but the fact that there are also efficiency gains that which is pull it back, that's also quite a positive. So yes, there is. I think the trend is towards that 26-28 percentage, and towards the lower end of the band. So I think the trajectory is headed towards that.
One small follow-up. Have you already factored that, or you are adjusting your estimates?
We will be adjusting our estimates. I think we'll probably be going to.
That implies upside for the stock here. But also one word around the pickup estimates.
We will be adjusting our estimates. I think we'll probably be going to.
That implies upside for the stock here. But also one word around the pickup in the retail. The commentary very clearly says the retail sector, retail companies are increasing their investments, which means more deals are going to come. So deal pipeline looks very strong there. Secondly, again, the commentary was talking about BFSI, again, basically seeing a large improvement in North America, again, which was the laggard. And also, again, third point, what they're actually saying, there are fresh investments coming into communication space here. The telecom communication is looking really interesting from the deal pipeline point of view. From that perspective, yes, TCS, again, commentary is good, so perhaps the view is positive. But in the entire IT sector, if you're able to recall call any such company which is a high delta to any of these sectors? BFSI must be common, but apart from that, retail, communication, any other company which is a high delta?
Yeah, so BFSI and retail CPG, I mean, Infosys is a close peer where, this is a major vertical. So obviously that becomes sort of a key monitorable for Infosys too. Having said that, there has been divergence in commentary in the past between retail CPG and BFSI, between TCS and Infosys. So yeah, all the more focus there. But if you see even Accenture's commentary on the communication vertical, their vertical has also been accelerating. So yeah, maybe it's an industry phenomenon. I think for TCS it is a combination of macro supporting as well as winning market share.
Purva, we all know that the UK political setup is in a turmoil with a hard Brexit, a soft Brexit, but we all know that there is a Brexit that is going to be a reality soon. How much of this is going to create an opportunity for TCS, because there will be enough and more movement of the larger banking entities in the UK, and how much of that is already part of the forecast of the management in terms of the commentary that we heard?
So while the management does recognize, an event of that sort which can potentially, defer plans of investments, especially on the discretionary side of it, that is something which is always a possibility. The fact that the opportunity it creates out of, value reengineering, out of greenfield, brownfield operations, I think is tremendous. So I think the opportunity out of it is probably greater than the near-term risk that it poses.
Apurva, also 47,000 crores in terms of cash on the books. They've already announced a dividend, but do you think any brownfield acquisitions could be in the offering?
So TCS has relatively not been as active on the M&A side of it. The fact that they've been able to internally incubate and build digital capabilities completely in an organic manner, I think that works really well. We've seen many of the IT peers have struggled with some of the M&A. So I think it's a strategy which is working well for TCS. So I don't really see it as a deterrent. You have another peer, global large peer, which is probably making an acquisition a week, at that rate. So that's the other end of the spectrum. So I think the model that TCS is following has probably been working, and that explains the fact that digital itself grown 2.5 times in the last 3 years, despite any acquisition. So I think that's
right. Apurva, one last question to you, and I know mid-cap IT stocks are very different from the way, again, diversified large-cap IT stocks, again, we look at them, but still, looking at the commentary, looking at the result, the sort of details inside the performance there, any other mid-cap IT stocks which you think perhaps would also be looking interesting from the sort of geographical or the sort of a vertical performance basis?
Yeah, so we like L&T Technologies, we like Persistent, we like Hexaware. These are some of the top mid-cap IT spaces that we like. We are quite positive on many of the other mid-cap IT spaces, but I think from the valuation standpoint as well as the business opportunity, I think these three I would like to call out. And maybe I can add a Zensar and a Majesco to that.
Right, thanks for Apurva. That's of course the word coming in. TCS earnings beats expectations, brokerages seem pleased, and of course constructive as well on counters like Majesco, L&T as technologies as well. Moving on from there to the other